Hi everybody, and welcome to Module 3, Lesson 21. Our objective today is recognize and show that equivalent fractions refer to the same point on a number line. So what we're looking at is fractions and different ways to write them so that they're equal. If you have your fraction tiles from the Fraction Tiles website from the other day, and you want to try using that today, this is a great one. I usually use our fraction strips on this lesson, but for today, I'm going to be doing it on the smartboard because then that way you can see it and you can practice this yourself on the smartboard. So for right now, I'm going to be dealing with halves versus fourths. So I'm going to do a fraction line. Oh, that was really not straight at all. Let's see if I can do a little straighter. And then I'm going to do another one right below it. It's going to be the same length. All right, so equivalent fractions. For my red line, I'm going to divide it into half. So I'm dealing with halves. Now, I'm going to divide it right here in the middle. So this is 1/2. And over here would be my 0, so that'd be 0 over 2. And this would be my whole, which would be 2 over 2. Okay? So that's our red line. It shows us where we've divided it in half. I'm actually going to make that a little fatter for you so you can see that right here is about where you would draw it in half. The key to comparing fractions is you need to have them equivalent. So you need to draw two lines that are exactly the same. So these are the red to my half. I'm going to divide this into fourths. So then I'm going to have 0 over 4. Then I'm going to have 4 over 4. So I need to do a 1 over 4, a 2 over 4, and a 3 over 4. So you need to draw and divide this into 3 groups, so give me 4 pieces equally. So I'm going to do 4, 2 over 4, and 3 over 4. So this will be 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. So I'm going to go back to this one right here. I'm going to do a little bit of a fat, like medium-sized line here. So I'm going to draw this one right across. So this whole piece right here, I'm going to make it a little bit fatter so you can see it. This whole piece is 1/2. That equals 1/2. Now, I want to find what the equivalent fraction is below. So if I come all the way over to make it equal, because I've done my lines very carefully, if I come straight down, it's going to look like that, because this 2/4 is going to be the same amount as this half up here. So if I shade in my 1/4, my 2/4, those pieces are going to be equal or equivalent. So 1/2 is equal, it's the same amount as saying 2/4. Here's a little bonus information for you right now. This isn't really third grade when we talk about this, but in older grades, we want to look for a fraction in its simplest form. This one can be reduced down to this because they are the same. They are equal or equivalent. So when you're looking for things that are equivalent, you're looking for things that are equal. So 2/4, if I had 2/4 fraction tiles, I had a 1/4 and a 2/4, it would be the same as saying 1/2. Okay, so we're going to come down to the next one. Maybe. Oh, I need to erase it over here. So I'm going to do another one with a different example. This time I'm going to be working with thirds and one. Oops, that's a really messy third. Sorry about that. I'm going to be dealing with a third and a sixth. It doesn't really matter which one you do first. It's totally up to you. But I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible and do it the same. I'm going to start out with my third. So I'm going to draw a line across for my first one. But I'm also going to, before I get started on dividing it up, I'm going to draw my line for my second one. So if you notice, I have the same 2 number lines for both. They're as equal as I can make them. When we do these with fraction tiles, it's a little easier because they're more concrete. But either way, these are the most equal I can make them. So right first. So my first line is going to be my thirds. So if this is 0/3, this is going to be 3/3. I need to do a 1/3 and a 2/3. So I'm going to divide it with 2 lines, so I have 3 pieces. So 1 line, 2 line. There's my 1/3. There's my 2/3. So right now we can't really tell what's equivalent for the 6's, and that's okay. We're going to do that, but we have to draw out the 6's to compare them. So when I compare my 6's, I'm going to do 1/6 here, but this is my 0, so this would be 0/6. This is going to be 6/6 because that's my whole. So I'm going to need to draw a 1/6, a 2/6, a 3/6, a 4/6, and a 5/6. So I'm going to draw 5 lines to make them equal. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, I think I did pretty good at making them equal. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to do and label my line at 6's. 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and then I already have my 6/6. So this time I'm going to compare 2/3. I'm going to come over here, change my color again. 2/3, 2/3. What is equivalent to 2/3 on my 6th line? So if I did this correctly, I'm going to come straight down and say that 4/6 is equal to 2/3. So let's double check this. If I thicken my line out for my thirds, come all the way across to here, kind of color it in so it's got it nice and even. Like that. And then I'm going to do this. Oops, I need a fatter one. Makes it quicker. I'm going to come across. Here we go. The purple line and the red line match up. So 2/3 is the same as saying 4/6. So 2/3 is equivalent, or it's equal to, or it's the same as 4/6. So when you're comparing fractions and you're stuck on trying to figure it out, do 2 fraction lines, then you can match them up. If you wanted to do a fraction bar or a tape diagram, that's okay too. I don't recommend doing any pie or circle graphs on these. They are very complicated to do. Keep it nice and simple, like on a number line. It makes it a lot easier to figure out what your equivalent fractions are. All right, so I'm going to erase that out. And that is the end of lesson 21. Thank you for joining us.